So in this video, we are going to see what are the different types of iterative statements in C. Okay. So what is meant by iterative? Repeating again and again and again, right? Same meaning applies here also. So you are going to repeat the execution of a list of statement again and again, right? So before going on to the topic, you should know what is the necessity for going for this iterative statement. Why do you need this? Okay, so let me take the basic example of your Hello World program. So if you want to print Hello World, then what do? One time if you want to print, you will write printf statement, right? So if I want to print Hello World for 5 times, then what you will do? You will write printf statement for 5 times. Suppose if I want to print this Hello World for 100 times, then what is the option? You have to write printf statement for 100 times, right? So practically it is not a very good method that writing a printf statement for 100 or 1000 times, right? So in this case, such a situation, you can go for repeating a single statement for many number of times, or you can put it in a loop. So this type of iterative statement is also called by another name, looping statements or loop statement. So in C, the C supports three types of looping statements. Okay, so the three classification or the three types of loop statements are: one is called as your while loop, okay, and the second one is called as your do while loop, and the third one is called as your for loop. Okay, for loop. So you have to be very careful when you write this, because the keywords while, do while, and for is being used. So what is the main important point which you have to remember? The keywords will always be in small letter. Don't use capital letter. Okay. So one is your while loop, second one is your do while loop, and the third one is called as your for loop. Okay. So your while loop is also called as entry control loop, whereas your do while comes under the category of exit control loop, and your for loop also comes under the category of your entry loop. What is the meaning of this is, entry control loop means the condition will be checked at the entry point, but whereas the condition will be there, if it is the condition is there in the exit point, then it is called as your exit loop, exit control loop. Okay, and these while loop and the second difference, one of the second differences, the while loop and do while loop comes under the category of indefinite loop, whereas your for loop comes under the category of determinate or definite loop, determinate or definite loop. So if you know what is the meaning of this is, if you know the number of iterations correctly, then you can go for this for loop. That's why it is called as definite loop. Okay. So in the case of indefinite loop, that is your while loop and do while loop, the loop can be executed until the user wants to stop it. Okay. So that is the reason why it is called as, why your while loop and do while loop is called as your indefinite loop. Okay. So let us first start the while loop. Okay, so the syntax of your while loop is given by, okay, so you will be having some statement X. Let me take it as statement X. Then you have your while loop, while, open bracket. So you will be checking the condition, curly bracket. You will be having the statement block, semicolon, close the curly bracket, and statement while. Okay, so this is your syntax of your while loop. So what is the meaning of this? So you are checking a condition. If the condition is true, then it enters into the loop and the statement block will be executed. If the condition is false, okay, if it is false, which will come outside the loop and it will execute the statement outside the loop, sequential statements. Are you able to understand? Okay. So while loop, so this is your syntax of your while loop. So now let's see the while loop by a small example. Okay. So the example is to print the first 10 numbers. Okay. So to print the first 10 numbers. So what should be your output? I should get the output as 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. So for this I am going to write the program. Okay. So how will you write the program? So include stdio.h, right? So that I can header file, standard input output header file, so that I can include your printf and scanf statement. Now int main int I is equal to 1. I have to print 1 to 10, right? So I am going to initialize the variable I with the value 1, okay, and end with a semicolon. So I is a variable, you know that the meaning of this. The data type of your variable is integer and the initialized value is equal to 1. So in the memory, what will happen? The variable I will be assigned, it is assignment operator, right? I will be having the value as 1. Okay. So now I am going to write the loop while you're going to check the condition, right? So while I is less than or equal to 10, I have to print till 1 to 10, right? So less than or equal to 10, then what is the output I should get? Print I, right? So what is your data type? Since it is your integer, it is percentage %d comma I. Okay, so this will be replaced by your integer value I, semicolon. Now I is equal to I plus 1, increment. This is the condition updation, and then close the loop, return 0. Okay. So now let us check the condition one by one. Okay, so you have initialized now the value for I is equal to 1. Now what will happen? While I is less than or equal to 10. What is the value for I now? I is equal to 1, right? So whether I is equal to 1. So 1, whether 1 is less than or equal to 10. If the condition is true, it is true or false? It is true, right? If the condition is true, then it will enter the loop and it will execute the statement, right? So yes, the condition is true. So what will happen? It will print the value of I. So the first value will be printed. Okay, so you will be getting 1. Okay, now after printing I, you have to do the updation. I is equal to I plus 1. What was the previous value? I is equal to 1 na. So now what will be the value? I is equal to 1 plus 1. Now I has become 2. So 1 plus 1 is 2. Now that 2 will be assigned to I. So in the second condition, what will be happening? 2 will be, now I value will be equal to 2. Now after updating, it will go and check again. It will go to the condition and it will check whether the value for I is less than or equal to 10. It is true or false. Whether 2 is less than or equal to 10, it is true. Again, it will enter the loop and it will do the same process, right? So it will now print the value for I. So you will be getting I is now currently 2. Your 2 will be printed. Now again you are going to do the update. Now I is equal to 2 na. So 2 plus 1 you will be getting it as 3. Now the I has become 3. Again it will check the condition. So 3, whether 3 is less than or equal to 10. Yes, the condition is true. Again it will execute, right? So print I. So now you will be having 3 will be printed. Now what is the next? The I value will be incremented. 3 plus 1, now I will become 4. Again the condition will be checked whether 4 is less than or equal to 10. Right? Yes, it is true. It will enter the loop. Again the execution of the statement will be happening. So similarly, till how much? Now if I is equal to, till I becomes 10, right? 10 is less than or equal to 10. Since you have equal to it, it is also true. So till your 1, 2, 3, 4, etc. up till 10 will be printed. So you will be getting the same output, right? 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Okay. So 10 will be printed. Now you will be having again updating of I is equal to I plus 1. So 10 plus 1, now it has become 11. Now when I is equal to 11, it will check the condition whether 11 is less than or equal to 10. It is not true, it is false. So once the condition is false, it will come out of the loop and it will execute the next statement. So your program will be ending here. So in your output, you will be getting 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Suppose if you want to get a space here, right? So when I have written a space. So what you will do? Quotes, you have to give a space here and then give %d. So this is your example of your while loop. Similarly, now we will see what is the syntax of your do while loop. So before going on to this do while loop, let me write your flowchart representation of your while loop. So if I start with your with your statement X, now I'll check the condition, right? So first the condition will be checked. If the condition is true, okay, if the condition is true, then what will happen? Suppose if the condition is true, statement block will be executed. Statement block will be executed. After the statement block is executed, what you have to do, the updation of also, okay, update the condition. Right, again the process will, the condition will be checked. Suppose if the condition is false, then the corresponding, it will come out of the loop and the corresponding sequential statement outside the loop will be executed. Statement Y will be executed. So this is your working of your while loop. So ultimately, when we use these three looping statements, three important steps has to be remembered. So what are those three important steps? Step 1, okay, and a variable should be initialized. Initialization of the variable, okay, variable initialization. The previous example, we have initialized the variable I is equal to 1, right? So variable initialization. Second one, updation or updating the variable. And third one, the condition should be checked. You should apply a condition that has to be checked. So this condition will indicate the termination of the loop. In case if the condition is not given, then it will go to your infinite loop. Okay. So if it is not given, it will go to your infinite loop. So these are the very three important points which you have to remember when you use these three types of iterative statements. So now let's move on to the second type, that is your do while loop. Okay, do while loop. Now what is the difference between your while loop and your do while loop is, in the case of while loop, you have checked the condition first and then you have executed these statements, right? So in the case of do while, it is just the opposite. First you are executing the statement and then you are checking the condition. That's why it comes under the category of your exit control loop. Okay, so first let us see what is the syntax of your do while loop. So what will be your syntax? First you are going to write the keyword do, then open the curly bracket, and then you are going to execute the statement block. So I have told you, right, this braces is optional. If you have a single line statement, then there is no requirement of this curly braces. If there is a statement block, then you require the curly braces. Okay. So after executing the statement while, you are going to check the condition. So the condition is checked at the exit point of the loop. Okay, you close the loop, then you check the condition. So here there is one more difference. Usually in the condition, after the condition, you will not use a semicolon. But in the case of do while loop, it ends with a semicolon. So this is also a very important point which you have to remember. Then consecutively it will execute the next statement, sequential statement followed by. Okay, so this is your syntax of your do while loop. So now let me take the same example. So what is the example we have taken before to print 1 to 10 numbers, right? First 10 numbers, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Now the same program I am going to write it using your do while loop. So how will you write your using your do while loop? Include stdio.h so that you can use your printf input and output statement directly. Then you are going to start the program using your int main. Okay, you are going for the first step, that is your initialization. The type of the variable which you are using is your integer. That's why you are using the keyword int. I is equal to 1. What is the meaning for I is equal to 1? Now 1 will be assigned to the variable I. Now you are going to start your loop, right? Do. You are going to print the value, right? Print the value of I. Do %d. What is the reason you are using %d? Because it is an integer. Okay, so %d will be replaced by your value of I. Now next step is increment. So you have done initialization, you have done the updation. So I is equal to I plus 1. Close the loop. Now you check the condition while I is less than or equal to 10. Right. Return 0, which indicates the end of the program. Okay. Now what is your working principle? First you are initializing the value of I is equal to 1. So first it will perform your operation, right? It will execute the expression at least one. So here the one of the special point here in the do while loop is that before checking the condition, your statement will be executed at least once. So first you are now the value of the memory I is assigned, the value is 1. Now do print I value. Now your 1 will be printed, right? Next step, you are going to increment the value for I. So what will be your value for I? I is equal to 1, right? 1 plus 1. Now I will be equal to 2. Now 2, it comes out of the loop. It will check the condition whether 2 is less than or equal to 10. Yes, 2 is true. If it is true, again it will go back and it will execute the statement. What is your loop? Print. Again it will print the value of I. So 2 will be now printed, right? What is the next step? It will increment, right? Now current value of I is equal to 2. So what will be your value? I is equal to I plus 1. So 2 plus 1, now the I will become 3. Okay. So again it will check the condition. So whether 3 is less than or equal to 10, yes, it is true. Again it goes and executes the looping statement. So it will print I. Now the 3 will be printed in the output window. Now again, what after printing I, what will be the next step? It will increment 3 plus 1. Now I will become 4. Okay. Now once I becomes 4, again it will check the condition whether 4 is less than or equal to 10. Yes, it is less than. Again it will execute the statement. Now what? Print I. So 4 will be printed. Okay. So I have told you, if you want a space between 1 and 2, now what you should do? You should provide a space in this point, right? So this execution until and unless, now suppose if it executes until and unless the value for I is equal to 10, right? When 10 is equal to 10, again it prints the value. So etc. up till it prints till 10. Now what is the next step? Once 10 is incremented, I is equal to 10, 10 plus 1, if it is 11. Now when it sees the condition, what 11 is less than or equal to 10? No, it is false. So if it is false, it comes out of the loop and it will execute the next statement, that is return 0, which will indicate the end of the program. So this is your same program which is executed using do while loop. I hope that you are able to understand now the difference between your while loop and your do while loop. Now we will see the third type of looping statement, that is your for loop statement. So before going on to the for loop statement, let me just draw the flowchart representation of your do while loop. Okay. So what will be let me take any statement X. Okay. Now what is your first step? What is happening in your do while loop? So first your statement block will be executed, right? So you are going to execute the statement block. So once your statement block you have executed, then you're going to do the updating, right? Update the expression or update the variable. Okay. After updating, what is the next step? You are going to check the condition. So the condition will be checked. So what will happen if the condition is true? Then what will happen if the condition is true? Then it will again execute the same statement. Statement block will be executed. If the condition is false, then it will come out of the loop and the consecutive sequential statement will be executed. Okay, statement Y will be executed. So this is your flowchart representation of your do while loop. Now let us go for your third type of your iterative statement, that is called as your for loop. So in the case of for loop, it is just the simplified manner of your while loop. Okay, same three steps you are going to write it in a single sentence. So the syntax of your for loop is given as for, the keyword for. So I have told you that the keyword is nothing but it uses only small letters. Be very careful when you use this. Okay. So first do the initialization. For initialization, then you have a semicolon. Okay. Then you are writing the condition. Again semicolon. Then you are going to give the updation. So this updation can be called updation or increment or decrement. So this will be your syntax. So first sentence is for initial, the three steps you are writing it in a single step. Okay. Initialization, semicolon, condition, semicolon, updation. You are entering into the loop, open the curly braces, then statement, execute the statement. If the condition is true, then your statement block will be executed. End with a semicolon. If the condition is false, it will come out of the loop and statement Y will be executed. Okay, so this is your syntax of your for loop. So now let me write the same program using your for loop. So what is your program? To print your 1 to first 10 numbers, right? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. So how can you write it using your for loop? So let me start again, include standard input output, right? stdio.h, then int main. Now what you are going to do, you are going to use your for loop. So so you are declaring what is your data type of your variable. It is of the type integer. So int I, then you are going for your for loop, right? For, do first the initialization. Okay. So I is equal to 1. Now you are going to check the condition. I is less than or equal to 10. So here I made a mistake. It is semicolon, right? After the condition, again semicolon. Then you are going to increment or update. Okay. So I plus plus. So see here the difference between your while, do while and your for. You have written the three different steps in a single step in the case of for loop, whereas in the case of while and do while you have written these in three different steps. That is the advantage of using this for loop. Okay. So if the condition is true, then it will execute the statement printf Let me give a space. Okay, so percentage d, I, close the loop, return 0. Now what is your working principle here? So variable I is declared. So now in the memory you will be having the space will be provided for your variable I. Now you're going to do the initialization. So for what is your initialization? First step will be initialized. I will be equal to 1. What will be your second step? The condition will be checked. Okay. So I is less, whether I is less than or equal to 10. What is the value for I now? I is equal to 1. Whether 1 is less than or equal to 10? Yes, right. If the condition is true, then it enters into the loop. It executes the block. Okay, it executes the statement. So what is your statement? Printf. So in the output window now, what will be printed? 1 will be printed. Okay. Okay. Now again, after printing, what is your fourth step is it will do the increment. So the loop goes like this. Okay. So it starts from 1, it goes to 2, it enters the loop. If the condition is true, then it does the increment. So now I will become, previously I was 1, now I plus 1. So what will be the value? I will be equal to, now the I will become 2. Again it comes and checks the condition. So now this is a loop, right? So whether 2 is less than or equal to 10? Yes. If it is true, again it enters the loop. So now here there is a loop. If it is true, then again the next value, that is I value, will be printed. 2 will be printed. Now again it does the increment. Now I will become 3. Now you can see from this pictorial representation that there is one important point to be remembered, that in your for loop the initialization is done only in the first stage. Okay, after the initialization, this is not entering into the loop. So the loop is between your this stage 2, 3 and 4 until and unless what the condition is being terminated. So if it becomes now, if when I becomes 11, the condition is false, right? If the condition is false, it will come out of the loop and it will execute the sequential statement outside the loop, return 0, and the program will be end. So I hope that you would have understood. Okay.